Good afternoon. My name is Scott Redler, Chief Strategic Officer at T3Live.com. It is Wednesday. Welcome to today's recap. So an interesting day. I think we're on day 4 of a rally, day 5 for some things, day 6 for others. So it made some sense to be on your toes. I know I entered today with like 10 to 14 longs. All of them made sense. It was a very busy first hour. If you were on the VTF, you saw selling some strength and buying some things down and selling some things up, and then getting stopped out of other things and adding to hedges and in the SPYs and the JP Morgan, and then covering some. So listen, it's preparation that helps you do all those things, because in your head you have to know what these numbers are, otherwise you're never going to be able to execute, especially so fast. Almost like you have to be a computer. I probably should have a computer executing most of my stuff, but you know what? I'm an old dog, and one day maybe I'll learn a new trick and automate the red dog reversal, which everyone's been telling me that some of them have done. I haven't done yet. But anyway, so here we are. Today I came in, world markets are up. I gave you some levels in the S&P that could be a bit of trouble. I said many times today that I'm selling most things, not adding, especially on day 4, 5, 6, or 7. And I'm going to try and trade around the hedge, and maybe even at some point make money on the hedge, because things were so extended. But I felt very comfortable being able to do so, because again, putting a hedge on day 5 or 6, you could trade out of it a little bit easier than if you do it when things start to ignite. You'll never happen, and then you're going against the grain. So anyway, let's go right to the chart of the S&P cash. So this was the chart I posted. I put 28.83 here as a resistance, 29.40 just to indicate where last year's high was. Where did we get to today? We went to 28.85, pretty darn close. Then we went, a little bit back below 28.72, which is the high right here. A little bit of a sell signal, not like a blaring sell signal, but another doji. We had a doji yesterday after the 3-day move from the lower level. So at this point, I am leaving to go on a trip. Once a year I go to Eastern Europe. We have lots of subscribers in Ukraine, in Bulgaria, in Romania. And I try and plan a trip where I go visit them, and I coach them on technical analysis, on lifestyle, and it's good to meet face-to-face. I've been to China, I've been to Uzbekistan, I go all over, but happens to be that I'm leaving tonight, and I'll be back Monday. So I wanted to have an excuse to get out of a lot of my longs, because we've had them on for a bunch of days, and I just like to go away with a clear head, and I'm going to be away from my screen, flying for a day, and then on Friday the jobs reports in the morning, so I definitely won't be with my system up. So why not? We're 28.83. If you would have said we're going to be at 28.83, right around Christmas, people would have thought you out of your friggin' mind. I too said, hey, maybe go bounce to 2,600, maybe 27. And then once you get going, you drop your projections and you start to trade the action. You start trading what's in front of you. You start getting in a portfolio approach when you're above the 8 and 21-day moving average. You start using your tier system when great stocks are breaking out above patterns, where you're buying some as it builds and you're adding to it when it resolves, and then you're selling some into strength, and then you're holding some, and then maybe you're adding, and then you're selling some, and then until all of a sudden you get to a spot where you're like, that's it, you take it off, or then all of a sudden you get a shot across the bow, by the bears. If you're in that portfolio approach, you get back to flattish, you wait and see, and then when the market proves it can go up, you get back in. If it doesn't prove it can go up, you're out of the way. And that's really it in a simplified format. You go back here. Here's again the S&P. This was the time to get excited again. This is when you had that shot across the bow. We all got pretty much tactical here. Then it proved it could hold up. Remember, we were talking about 27.85. As long as we could hold 27.85, you can't get too bearish. We did. Broke above this pivot. If you look up here to the left, this is where the prices are. Right here on this day, that was 28.29. Right here, 28.29, and then on that Friday we got above it. If you were short, that was your spot to cover. If you were looking to lean long, that was your lean long. You had a big gap up above this 28.48. Okay, and then we went another 30 handles or so with lots of good stock action. Now I'm reducing. Why? If I was going to be in town, maybe I wouldn't have done this much, but here's 28.83, there's 29.40. We have Q1 earnings coming. We've had a heck of a move. We're going to need a really good earnings season to get some traction above this, besides just the push. So keep that in mind. The Qs, nice trade, got above this 182.83, which we were talking about. Went as high as what, 184.92. This was your day to cheat. Here's your gap up. 180.77 was above this high here. If you look on this candlestick, that high, if you look to your left, the left means up there, the price, that's where I come up with the prices. 180.69, we got to 180.77 and held it. That was a nice swing long. So day 1, 2, 3, 4. Looks like, you know, maybe we need to do a little work above this before we get to maybe the prior high. Ultimately, it held in pretty well considering the news of Facebook intraday, which kind of was upsetting because it was such a good trade. But anyway, at least it was extended, so we were smaller when that happened. But anyway, so now what do you know? You know, this is the high here. What's the high here? 184.92. 184.92. Let's put that in there. And we'll see what happens in the next few days. 184.92. That's your new point of reference, and that should be right up there. So anyway, my day count rule has you buy day 1, add day 2. You know, maybe even navigate day 3, day 4. You're reducing. You're not adding. Even if we go higher, you know, you missed it. What did the IWMs do today? I didn't really even look at them. Lagging still. This is your February high. We're well off that. Wasn't really a headwind. What would I write now? It's, I guess, you know, see if it could hold this now. If it could stay above this, it's not too bad. If it gets below that, chances are maybe it comes in. What is this low here? This low here is 154.73. So might as well, you know, put the right pivot in here. That's what I do. I'm a little bit of a perfectionist. And then really this is the real, you know, if it breaks below this, people will be like, oh, look at the IWMs, looking weak, get bearish. But really it's got to break below this before it becomes a headwind. So, you know, at this point, see what's next here. It's been a little bit out of play. I haven't really been focusing on it at all. This was the last time it was relevant. When it broke below this spot here, the market came in. Then here was your red dog reversal. Now it's just lagging but participating. JP Morgan, I'll tell you, I went out short yesterday. And early in the morning, I put out a chart. I said, hey, you know, what was the level there? I'm like, 106.40 is the downtrend. I'm like, let me put out some offers into that spot, 106.20, 106.35. And before I turned around, I was like in tier 2.5, and I was like, can't believe, you know, I got to deal with this being short after a big move. You know, I can just imagine how many people have been rolling up their shorts December, January, or even last week. Anyway, good luck to you. This is, so here was that 106.40. This was yesterday's high. Went right to that area. You know, how did I get to that area? This is 106.65. This was the 200-day. This is the chart from before. Doesn't mean it's game over, but I started shorting a little bit yesterday, thinking, hey, I didn't short the whole thing. I want to hedge on. I have too many longs. And, you know, I didn't lose my cool. I added to it. And then it came in, and I covered most. And then I was like, yeah, you know what, I'm just going to cover it. So now the trade, this is 104.79. So let's change this pivot, because it's still not a headwind. It just got a little extended. So 104.79 is now the pivot there. So that's why I would put this here. How would I change the chart a little bit? Well, I'd say, hey, you know, now if it holds above this spot for a bit, hey, maybe at some point it'll take this out, and maybe we'll be buying this, clearing the downtrend. But for now, you know, it just too far, too fast. It happens. So now we'll see what happens here. So let's draw this line coming in a little bit. You can raise this a little bit higher, and this is what you got to know. Now, maybe a few inside days here, and then the jobs report's not so bad. Who knows? Maybe it takes this out and it helps the bulls. But from this lower level that retraced higher, you know, it just didn't make any sense. Maybe a few inside days, and it turns into something like which is a better setup. For some reason, Goldman Sachs was friggin' really strong today. Didn't touch it. You know, right back into here. This was that breakout failure, and then that happened, and then this was your breakdown failure, and then that happened. Very hard. But if you were shorted, when it took back to moving averages here, that was your, you know, cover. And if you bought it there, congratulations, you made some money. It was pretty strong. Now, who knows? Maybe it wants to go higher. All of a sudden, the channel is, you know, back intact. And now be flexible here. So those are the banks. And then the names that I play with or are really on my focus list are the FANG names, the tech names, the cloud computing software names, the wellness names, all of them. And I go through them, you know, in my mind, and I start at 445. That's how I could keep a good track of them. So Amazon has been a great trade for us the past month, and I've been trying to hold it for a few days. And at the gym, where I go every day to burn off some steam, I was a little tight. I put a stop in at, I think, 1824, which is the prior high, just in case it did a red dog reversal. So Made good money on it, went below it, got stopped out. I felt pretty good about it when it almost went red. But then what did Red Dog do? I bought some options because I'm going to be away until next week, just in case the market hangs in there. I don't want to miss Amazon. So Amazon did bounce at the end of the day. So what did I do? This was my stop. At this point, you could take this kind of, I could wind up holding there. So take this off. Nope. So I know two things that I would mind missing. You know, if we happen to hold and rally and get to 2,900 beforehand, would be Amazon into 1880, 1900. So what did I do? You know, I've had this on, I sold it, and then I bought the 1800s for like 30 bucks. Thinking, hey, if we get to 1880, you know what, they'll be 80 bucks. At least I'm participating, my risk is premium paid. If all of a sudden we fail here, I'm not caught in the stock, I'm not getting beat up on all my house accounts, whatever, risk is premium paid. So at this point, if I was home and trading the next few days, I wouldn't be out of it. I probably would have used, you know, like maybe 1805 as a stop, or even this 1798. But since I'm going away, you know what? I don't need to be in harm's way, because even if it hadn't hung out well tomorrow, something happens on the jobs report, or they sell the China trade deal, and I don't want to get caught. But if it goes, I want to be in it for the options. So that's that. Google I also sold today. It was a good multiple, you know, good multiple day trade. Some of you bought 1164. Some of you with me at 1185s. I sold mine over 1210, and now, I guess, what was this high here? This high was 1220, and it was a doji, so it's not exactly sure what it wants to do. So 1220. So that goes up here now, and now you'll see what happens here. You have a bit of a doji. If it hangs above the doji, hey, maybe it goes sideways, and then at some particular point you can move this out of the way. It takes this high out and goes back towards 1236. You know, and maybe it needs to wedge a little bit here. If it breaks below today's low tomorrow, 1205, you got to take a little care, because it made a lower high while the markets made new highs for 2019. What was that number? 1205? So this is like a little lesson on how I come up with my pivots and my thought process. So put this right here. Tightens up again, and you're here, you buy it above 1220, because next is 1236, breaks below 1205. Be careful, better hold this spot here, which is closer to 1191. So, you know, it could also test the lower end of this wedge if the market wants to pull in a bit. So this really is 1205, so that's really right over here. So that's how I come up with my pivots, and that's my thought process. You know, Facebook, I hate a topping tail like that, you know, but at least it happened after 1, 2, 3 days with follow through. So at this point, it traded above this spot, back below it, got me out. Doesn't mean end of the world, but it means to me, if I'm going away and I'm in no control, I'm out of it. You know, this was a nice little accumulate. Had it coming in here, added on this day, even added today. When did I add it? 170, 490, 175. There was a really good trade there. I was hanging there for a half hour. Traded it, sold some, and then I was on the treadmill. One of my guys, listen, that's why you have a community. I'm telling you, I'm sitting there on the stand machine. All of a sudden, I get a text from Rocco. Rocco, that's his name. It's not Rocky, Rocco. Anyway, and he's like, did you see the Facebook news? I'm like, no, what happened? He's like, Amazon, the cloud, to this, to that. Did you have stops? And I'm like, no, I was down to very small. I sold into strength. Take a look. I look, it's red. I'm like, oh, okay. You know, and then all of a sudden I look back, it's up a little bit. So, you know, it bounced back to 175 half. I sold some, and then I'm like, okay, now let me put a stop in a 174 half, because it shouldn't get back below that, which would be below the 174.90. And then all of a sudden, put it in, call trade support, finished my workout. I looked, it was below 174 half. I'm like, okay, I'm out of Amazon. I mean, Facebook, if it was going to hang up and go, maybe it could be 180. It could still maybe. But I was like, you know what? The gods want me out of Facebook. It's been a great trade. I want to reduce my risk anyway, because I'm leaving, and I'm going to be flying all day tomorrow and not at my, my desk at the jobs report. So anyway, you look here, and you have a topping tail. So with that said, here is your accumulation. Here's when it triggers. You get to a big amount. Here you look for cash flow. You sell some, and then got stopped out. There were ways to navigate it. By the way, look at this. You know, look at the 1 day when it broke above that. That was a nice trade. You know, nice day trade for cash. Right here. Look how tight that was before it went. You know, I was like, what's going on here? Why is it sitting here, sitting here, sitting here? I was buying it, selling and buying and selling, but still holding it. Finally, I bought some, and then boom, sold some. And then I did not get out here. I wasn't on my desk. okay, because I already sold some into strength. Then I think I got the phone call right around here, like, you see Facebook on red, I looked, it was 175 half, I'm like, okay, I'm out. You know, I'm just going to take my trade, and then if I was here and you were looking at it, you did have a little bit of a intraday wedge, and then broke below it and then trended down. Again, does it mean it's game over? No. Does it mean it's got friggin' complicated headlines all the time on it? Yes. That's why it's hard to stay in it here and there. But anyway, we'll see what happens tomorrow. This is the low. The low is 169.55. No, it's not. I'm sorry. 172.95. It's still, if you're in it from down here and you're like, I don't care about this, it's just noise, it's going to digest and work that off and go again, that's cool too. I almost went back to it, I just didn't. You know, but that's your topping tail. I'm still in Twitter. I feel like maybe Twitter, you know, some money comes here because they're not unscrutinized as much. Been long it from here, I added here, I sold some, and I'm still in about a tier 1, and I'll tell my trade desk, get me out if it breaks 32, and that's not a whole heck of a lot of risk, and maybe it continues up. You know, it's not worth putting an option play on yet for me. Even though I probably could put the 35s on, go out till after earnings, and if it happens and closes this, I'm in it without having to knick-knack it, but we'll see. Etsy, I just sold. Didn't, you know, continue. It still looks fine. If I was going to be in tomorrow, I'd still be in it. Still looks okay. If you're still in it with the tier 1, if it gets above, you know, 70, you know, add to it, and then here's your spot at 73.55. Still really nice chart pattern. I just, you know, I'm not that comfortable with it. I've lost a few times. I was buying it here thinking it would go. I got lost. And finally, decent trade, but I didn't stay with it just because, again, I'm not in my computer screen. I can't control the risk for the next few days. We made good money in this oak, you know, just love them and leave them. I'm so glad we were able to do it here. You know, look at that nice breakout. I bought it yesterday for the first time in a long time and sold it up, you know, $3. Came off a little bit, but ultimately this is a nice clean breakout. If you're still in it, cool. If you trade it all the time, hopefully you added when it broke above this, because it did go as high as what, 90.67 before pulling back a little bit. Nice trade, nice breakout. It's good to see it could still happen. Tesla, we talked about it becoming a new active sequence, and it did that here when it broke above this spot. Why was it this spot? That was the 8-day. Then it came to the 21-day, took back to 21-day. Hopefully you covered your shorts there. This way you weren't, you know, hating world and covering here. And now it kind of stopped at this descending trend line. You know, every time it gets here, it fails, so I would not be so long it now. But if it were to hold here and break that, hey, maybe you have a spot till 310. We shall see. What else? Neo, I'm out of. You know, I did it as a small trade. As I saw the deliveries, doesn't make sense for me. ZYNE was just a little guy trade also. It was a great trade. Bought it leaving this 575, took it home, sold some above 7, and just didn't want to have little loose speculative plays on, but that was nice for a big percentage. Some of you guys did really well. Went to my target fast, which was pretty much right into this spot. Congratulations if you made good money here or if you were accumulating in there. You know, when guys have a thesis and your trades technically, you could really load up, especially if you like it long term. As we talk about these, CGC, what did you do? It's getting a little tight still. Maybe you could pop up into here. I'm not in this, but it's still building. ACB, what are you doing? Still kind of tight. Doesn't make much sense unless it gets above 930. You could be long versus this if that's what you do, and that is 838, and then wait for it to get above there. Maybe along a little bit just to so you see when that happens, if that happens, so you're engaged. AMD, probably one of my easiest trades today. I saw, you know, we played this move. I got stopped out around here, and then all of a sudden yesterday guys were talking about it perking up. I bought some just because I had a portfolio approach. Sometimes you have a lot of names on, you're a little looser, and then that happened. You know, I did sell some, and at the end of the day, I'm like, you know what, I'm not going to just sit in this thing. You know, I don't want to be in all these names that I can't control, so let me just get out of it. It was a great trade and a half. So with all that said, what's today's date? Today's date is, I think it's April 3rd or 4th, April 3rd. I'm leaving tonight. We've had a big time rally. First quarter, I don't even know what percentage we're up, I think 13% or so. And that's on top of the bounce we had in December. Lots of great things happened, you know, that followed along a lot of our tactics and tools that we teach. being above the 80-20 one day. You're not short, you're long. When you're long, you're in a portfolio approach. When you're in a portfolio approach, you're using a tier system. When you're using a tier system, you're netting money along the way and sticking in stocks and adding to them when they break out of price patterns. All of a sudden, the 80-20 when they break, we're reducing, maybe testing out shorts, and then all of a sudden the market proves it's going higher. We're getting flexible. We're not rolling up shorts, but we're getting back flat, and then putting back on positions for another move with different chart patterns and maybe even different names. We did that multiple times in the last 4 months, and it's worked out very well. I'm flatter than I've been in a while. I have a few options. I have the AMRN calls on for a month. I just put them on yesterday just in case some crazy news comes out and it takes out this. A lot of guys really love it, and I've been trading it. Last time we traded this, it was right here, and it worked really well. So now it's up here. If I was in the office, maybe I'd be long and add here and then see how it goes, but I'll have options on so I don't feel like I'm missing out. I also have some Apple calls on just in case. Let me move this up just in case it wants to break out above this 197.69 and get towards 200. I know I'd be a little bit upset if I missed it. We caught this trade well. I was in it from here also after the earnings gap. So now I have some 195s and 197.5s just in case it wants to go. And if it goes, I'll make some money. Not a whole heck of a lot, but if it goes, Apple and Amazon are like my children. I trade them every day. I know them really well, and this has been acting okay. But otherwise, I've brought risk down. 5 days up, 450 handles since the bottom. I don't feel like I have any FOMO. We got the quarter ending, not the quarter ending coming, but quarter one earnings coming up, so there'll be more than enough volatility, more than enough setups. So that doesn't even start till late next week, and I'll be back by Tuesday. So I'm gonna, go out there and hopefully teach some of these like-minded guys a little bit more about the tactics and tools and about the mindset. Hang out, just talk about life and balance and things you do when you get away from your desk and you get away from the screen, because that's what you have to do in order to keep refreshing. And I do love the Banya. I am a triathlete. I've done 2 Ironman, and the way I detox is you go into the hot cold, you go in the hottest saunas you can. They beat you up with friggin' Pilates sticks, and then they put you in the cold plunge and they freeze you until your eyes dilate so much that you're about to pass out. They lift you out, then they put you back in the sauna, they beat you again, get you as hot as you can, take out all the toxins, then put you back in. They do 3 times. And then what do? They throw you in a pile of hay and put you in nature. Your arms feel like they're 1,000 pounds. You can't even feel them. You pass out for an hour, you wake up, they hand you a beer, and then you go talk with 15 guys around the table, and they have some crawfish and some chicken and have a few more beers, and and you get a little wind, a little sun, and that's that. With all that said, it's the last video of the week. I'll be back next week. I hope everyone is well. Hope everyone's done really well. We had a great quarter, a great week, and now it's time to let the market sift out and figure out what's next with a little less risk on. And if you're trading and you're still going full throttle, just have your stops, know what's happening, know your levels, and be prepared. Have a good one.